Hey, hello everyone, and welcome to Extreme Graphics Tech. My name is Angelo. And of course, today I'm going to be talking about what you can read in the title of the video, which is the PC gamer versus consoles. And the reason I'm bringing this back, because this is something I have talked many times, is because two things happened together that made me make this little video that I wasn't even planning to do, which is a couple of weeks ago I was invited to a podcast, a Spanish podcast, where one of the person who was there, they started with this old thing about, well, if you want a PC that is equal to a PlayStation 5, you basically need to spend around $1,500 to $2,000. That's what the premise is, because they said that the PlayStation 5 has shown how they is better and better at every time. This person was even compare the PlayStation 5 to a 4090, say that the 4090 still have to show that it's better than PlayStation 5. It was a crazy conversation, okay? It was really out of any reason with this person. When we were talking about this topic, he started, just saying these sort of things. And I have nothing against people who play on console. Myself, you can see here, I play here in this area around here. I play a lot of console. I have them all. I have a 3DS. I have every single console because I love video games. So I play on any system I can get my hands on. However, it's important to understand that you don't need to make up things in order to speak about why you prefer a console. You prefer a console because it's easier, you prefer a console because it's cheaper, you prefer a console for any number of reasons. It doesn't matter at the end of the day where you play, because you're still, playing games, and that's the important part of it. However, when you start spreading misinformation and making people scared about PCs, then that's where I don't agree. So, as it happened recently, I updated my PC to a 17950X3D from AMD, and that means that all the components that I changed start trickling down to my test bench, to other computers that I have to test, and so on. So after moving all the pieces, I realized I had enough pieces to, hardware parts to build a completely new PC. So because I love building PCs, I decided to build it, and this thing you're seeing here now, right? I thought that this will be a nice PC to have in the living room, connected to the projector, just in case I need something to do there, or just to play a video game from now and then, or anything. So I just built it because I love building PCs. So after, as you can see, it's a 12600K, is an RX 6800 GPU, and 1TB of NVMe from Western Digital SM570. It has a fractal design case and a Corsair 650 watts with 16 gigabytes of 3200 megahertz RAM. I don't know if I'm missing anything, maybe the Noctua. So when I started looking, I was curious and said, okay, this came out quite a nice PC. So I wanted to see how much it will cost. So when I started looking for prices at PC Part Picker, it happens that you can build this PC for around $1,000. And this exact PC, of course, you can save money, for example, by buying a less expensive case or less expensive power supply, things like that. You can make change. So this PC will come at around $900 to $1,000. By changing some components and checking prices in the UK is around £1,000. In Spain is around 1,100 euros. So this was just me to have sort of an idea how much will this PC cost. And of course, I wanted to see how much performance we were going to get out of this little thing. And this is where things got interesting, and these are my results. I decided to start with the game The Last of Us Part 1 because it's one of those games that is only current gen, at least the remake is. So this game runs at 4K native on PlayStation 5 at 30 FPS. I'm not quite sure about the settings because there are combinations, In this case, I just set the high preset for everything. And as you can see, we are a little bit better than consoles, but I wouldn't say that much. But considering this game is, it's better than it was at launch, but it's still not the best optimization game out there. I think, and the results are quite good. But I was a little bit, a little bit disappointed, I will say, because I thought this computer was going to be faster in general, and this was not the best start, so I was a little bit worried about. However, when I set up the game to run in what is the performance mode for consoles, which is 1440p native, still keeping the high settings because, as I said, I don't have the exact same settings being used for this game, then things started to look a little bit better because we were getting a lot more than 60 FPS. We were around 70, even touching 80 FPS at some points in this area, which is quite, open. There is a lot of things going on. So, I was more optimistic about the results from this PC. Here, obviously, we can play at least PlayStation 5 quality. I think, honestly, that we would be even able to get better results if I knew exactly the settings. However, you can even play at 4K FSR if you want to get to 60 FPS, keeping sort of the 4K resolution. But well, I'm comparing consoles to PC, so this is the most fair I could find. In the case of Spider-Man Miles Morales was the other game I wanted to test here, and you can see this game also runs at 4K 30 FPS on consoles with the reflections. And in this case, I put this PC on, like very high settings, the maximum. So I know this game looks much better than it looks on consoles. However, also the performance is much better than it on the console. So things start to look much better for this little PC because now I was playing at very high, at 4K native, while I believe that the console uses dynamic resolution scaling, but I'm not 100% sure. So I was trying to give the best opportunity to consoles and be fair to this PC. In this case, well, we can see we can easily match and surpass the console in this case. So trying to play in looking for that 60 FPS, then I changed to a 4K FSR balance in this case, which on console it actually runs with dynamic resolution scaling at around 1440p and reconstructing to 4K using IGTI and without RT in the performance mode. There is a performance RT mode, which is a combination of both things, but because we this dynamic resolution scaling IGTI, I thought that this will be a better example of what a person on PC will use, and I have to say the results were fantastic because we kept 60 FPS at all times, or 99% of the time, with a much better quality than console. In this case, having a much better experience than what you will get on a PlayStation 5 with this particular title. Then again, the really surprised me was Howard's Legacy. In this case, Howard's Legacy runs around 1800p at 30 FPS on console, with I believe it's only shadows and ray trace and maybe reflections. I'm not quite sure if it's all the effects. However, here we're playing with 4K FSR quality Ultra with all RT effects, all of the RT effects also on Ultra. So this is beyond console by a big margin, and as you can see the FPS, we are close to keeping a 60 steady FPS in here. So this is a much better result than you will get on any of the current consoles at the moment. This is really way beyond in terms of graphical quality. You can of course lower some settings to keep that 60 FPS lock, but this is much better. We are basically doubling the results with much better image quality. Same thing for Cyberpunk. In this case, I do have the exact same settings that were used on the PC thanks to Digital Foundry, on the console, sorry, and I'm using the RT mode, in this case the quality mode, and as you can see there, we are using the exact same settings and we are getting basically double the performance that we were going to get on consoles. So this means if you don't mind keeping 30 FPS, that you can get better quality by upping some settings or even by activating RT reflections or so on, or you can go to 4K native without any RT, or in any case, here we are showing that this PC is capable of much more than consoles. In this case, doubling the performance using exactly the same settings that are the closest to the console. Another game that proves my point is Forza Horizon 5 on Xbox Series X. Here also I have the exact same settings that we're using, that thanks to Digital Foundry. And as you can see here, also one thing that the PC doesn't have that console does is the dynamic resolution scaling. Xbox Series S run these games in quality mode at 4K with dynamic resolution scaling and 30 FPS, but here we are at 4K, no dynamic resolution scale, exact same settings, at more than double the performance that we will get on the Xbox Series X, or at least double, because obviously by limiting the game at 30 FPS, we don't know if the game is running at 35 or 38 or 40. But however, we're getting here more than 60 FPS, more than 70 FPS at all times, doubling the performance, which is amazing for what we get on this PC. compared to the Xbox Series X. Another Xbox game I tested, in this case is more limited because of the CPU. Remember, the 12600K is a 6-core CPU with some efficiency cores in there. It's not as good as needed. However, we still can play above 50 FPS on one of the most heavy areas of the game, which means in indoors you can still play above 60 or 80 FPS. However, I will say that that's one of the things you can improve on this build, because as I said, this build is put together with many parts and pieces I had lying around, but you can probably get a better CPU and motherboard for less money that you will spend on this one. So this is one of the things that I was saying. This is just, you know, some components lying around, but you can optimize better the same budget at 1000. However, we are still above what the Xbox Series X offer. And finally, the Ratchet & Clank game. These games run on PlayStation 5 in the fidelity mode of 4K and 30 FPS, but it's using dynamic resolution scaling and then scale using IGTI. In this case, I'm using the 4K dynamic resolution IGTI on very high with R2 reflections on, but instead of getting 30 FPS, we're actually getting 60 FPS, thus doubling the results of the PlayStation 5. So yeah, at the end of the day, this PC is costing you double, but it's also almost always giving you also double the performance, which is a great thing when you think about it. So there is no need for $1,500 or $2,000 just to copy or get to the same level of console, because that's not true. So as you can see, it's true, this PC costs twice as much as a console, but it's also true that this PC behaves twice or more better than a console. And that really surprised me, because, you know, this is not a thought process that I did. I just took a bunch of pieces I had lying around and put it together, and it came to around $1,000. So when you see this, you realize and you say, oh well, you know, this PC costs twice as console. Yeah, but it behaves twice as fast, which means not only you don't need to spend $1,500 or $2,000 to equal a PlayStation or an Xbox Series X. Actually, you spend only $1,000 and you double the performance of those systems. It's true, if you want to build a $500 PC, you're not going to get the same performance as a console, because I will say you will need to spend around $750 sort of to equal the performance of those systems, which means that if you're trying to play on the cheapest, you know, more performance system, it is going to be a console. But it's also true that with only $1,000, the double of the console, you can get a system that is double as fast as a next gen or current gen system. So that means that all this information about you need to spend $1,500, $2,000 just to equal a PlayStation 5 is not real at all, not even close. So this is the point I'm trying to make with this little video here. You know that it's fine if you want to play on console for whatever reason. There is nothing wrong with that. What is wrong is keep spreading misinformation and trying to make consoles be or behave much more powerful than any PC. Like, oh, then you know, when the 5000 series or the next RDNA 4 from AMD come, they're going to say that consoles are still faster than those systems. I'm not quite sure why is that. I don't understand why people justify, you know, buying a console just based on performance, you know, because it's faster, when, you know, the reason is, you know, it's plug and play. I don't have to worry about anything. I just put my games, I play, everything is set up for me, and that's perfectly fine. And the good thing about the PC in this case is that, well, you saw some of those games running, double the quality, but frame rate, but also that in many cases you can lower the resolution, for example, and get even more FPS or more quality. Like, for example, in Cyberpunk, we could have kept the 30 FPS cap at 1440p and maybe activate ray trace reflections, for example, and have more bells and whistles on the game. So at the end of the day, you have more flexibility because you are the one deciding. And also, we have to think that the PC is not only to play video games. We do a lot more with them than just play video games. So it's very versatile. And at the end of the day, all I wanted to show was that it's not true. You don't need $1,500 to $2,000 on PC just to equals a PlayStation 5. They provide you with very good price ratio to performance, but it's not that good.